welcome to Policing TV, where I am delighted to be joined for this second video in a series of three in our Policing Leaders series by the Chief Constable of Hertfordshire Constabulary, Andy Profit. I'm not going to revisit the introduction I gave in video one, and the viewers can go and check video one. I hope they've already seen it, indeed, coming to this second. But in this second, we are going to focus on your time since you were appointed Chief Constable of Hertfordshire, which you reminded me in the chat we had immediately before this recording. It was January the 1st of this very year, 2025, where you joined, having been Deputy Chief Constable at Essex, neighbouring police force in the UK, and become Chief Constable of Hertfordshire, at a time when the force was had just been given a, shall we say, challenging assessment by His Majesty's Inspectors for Constabulary, Fire Rescue Service, HMICFRS, and so I'm sure that was on your mind in the lead up to January the 1st, and indeed when you started. So was that and the response that the force would give to that absolutely at the top of your to-do list?
Yes, in short, the the independent report was published in September 24 last year, more or less in the same month that the advert came out for the role. Now, I knew well of Hertfordshire Constabulary. I'd worked closely with the Constabulary in kind of cross-border partnership through my time in Essex. I came and had a conversation with my predecessor. I obviously read the report, and I'll talk about some of that in a minute. Spoke to lots of people in preparing for applying for the job. So, there was lots in there, wasn't there? Hertfordshire wasn't recording crime effectively enough and letting victims down. Hertfordshire wasn't leading in the right way. The consistency of investigations and safeguarding and sharing information with partners wasn't being done properly. So lots of really important issues to grapple with. And yes, that was absolutely the heart of my mind of what I need to do coming into an organisation as Chief Constable to lead it forward to a better place where I knew it could, and I hope it is well on its way to getting to.
So how does that work? I'm interested, and I suspect viewers not privy to the workings or at the very most senior ranks in the UK. You applied, you were appointed. There's a little bit of time where the appointment is ratified, and then I imagine there's a lead up to the point at which you actually properly start. So my question is about what preparations are you able to do, knowing that you've got the job ahead of the day that you actually walk in the front door?
Yeah, and normally there is, because normally the notice period for chief officers moving is 3 months. Now, I didn't, by design, a necessity, have that time. So I believe I was interviewed either the 12th or 13th of December and found out that evening. Great news, I've got the job. Wonderful. Absolutely fantastic. Obviously, huge personal kind of achievement. And you're proud about that. And you're then thinking, goodness me, right now, I've got to go and do what I've just said I'm going to do. I started on the 1st of January. So the Christmas period later, through necessity and agreement with my previous chief in Essex, because the Hertfordshire Chief Constable was leaving on the 31st of December and there was no other transition plan. So I kind of was jettisoned in, landed on the 1st of January. So I had to just get on with it, hit the ground running. Now, what I would say is that in hindsight, I'm glad that happened because I'd spent 3 months preparing for that process, thinking about what we needed to do, how I wanted to lead the organisation forward, not just about the independent inspection report, but based on what I'd been told by people and my skills and experience. So I hit the ground running and just did it, Bernard, I think is the honest answer to the question. But with that 3 months of preparation in my mind.
So you had the preparation there. It was a faster process to actually coming in the front door than I'd actually imagined. Now, I've heard, and I can well understand this, that being Chief Constable can be quite a lonely occupation, although you do have others in the NPCC network, in your own existing network that you can have conversations with, although those always can't be as full as perhaps might be entirely useful. So, in very broad terms, coming in as chief constable, or indeed coming in as a leader into a new policing job of any rank or in any role, what sorts of preparations might you make? Whose counsel might you seek out? What sorts of things do you need to bear in mind in coming into that new job where you're quite likely to be leading a team of people who are perhaps a little uncertain about what it is that you're going to bring to the table?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, there's some really important things in there, aren't there? I had built up quite a good network. Not a hugely broad network, but a good network of close confidants who you can trust and speak to. When I became, and when individuals become chief constable, there are key people, senior chief constables who reach out and offer you a peer mentor. So I've got a couple of kind of chief constable peer mentors who are far more experienced in the role than me, who I can lean on and just seek that little bit of what you think, and share on other people's experience, which I think is really important. And again, you can only lead true to your own style, but I wanted to come in and embrace the team and work with the team here. And the fact that there'd been a tricky report, and there had been, doesn't mean that I came in, and certainly didn't, with the mindset therefore that everyone around my organisation and the leadership team I was moving into was in some way not doing a good job, because that's not the way you get the best out of people. So I absolutely came in with that kind of this is an opportunity to succeed. I trust my instincts, but I also trust the people around me, and I think that is really, really important. And of course, I've had the opportunity over the last 9 months to bring some new leadership into the organisation. So I have a new deputy chief constable supporting me here in Hertfordshire, another Andy, much to everyone's amusement. One of the assistant chief constables has since moved on and has been replaced. So I consider myself lucky in that regard, because I can shape the team around me as well as bring the talent through the organisation that is undoubtedly here.
I have heard that in other conversations, that the opportunity to, can I say, reinvigorate the leadership team, which is not necessarily a reflection on the team that's moving on, or the individuals. So, but that enables you better to have a team that will be working in the direction that you are looking to take the force.
Absolutely.
Thinking then of that 9 months that you've had, has it divided into any sort of phases? Was, for example, there a listening phase early on? Was there a banging the table phase? Was there a forensic examination of a particular part of the organisation that HMICFRS had thought particular? Crime recording, for example, I think was the
Yeah.
least well judged
Yeah.
of the area. So, and phasing, how did phasing work, if at all?
Well, all of those things. I think the banging of the table was metaphoric, but you do need some urgency and some grip around some things. So yes, I guess using your phraseology, I absolutely had an engagement and listening phase. I ran a series of what I called Chief Constable's conversations, 7 of them between about February and very early May, with about 200 or 300 officers and staff in the room. That was a little bit about, here's me, I'm Andy, this is my background and my values, some of the stuff I talked about in video 1. Here's where we are, where do we want to be, and how are we going to get there? So that was kind of a really engaging, tell me what you think. And of course I got, we want to fix it, we want to be proud, we feel we're too disaggregated, we want to get crimes on the system, all the stuff that HMIC had said we hadn't done well, and we hadn't. The workforce said we want to fix it. So that was a really good thing. And that was condensed into, effectively, here are the 10 things you've said that are important, and these are the 10 things we're going to do as a result. this is who's leading them and this is when they'll be done by. So that kind of pledge to action. So you said, I've listened and we're now going to do. Really important kind of cycle to some of that. And the HMIC stuff, you know, we're working sequentially through all of those. The biggest one, you're right to say, Hertfordshire didn't record 1 in 5 crimes, letting down 1 in 5 victims. It needed fixing. We fixed it with a little bit of a metaphorical, I'm just telling you we need to fix it and we're going to fix it this way. Because there's some things we've got time to have a discussion about and some things you just need to do. And we created a professional crime recording hub in the control room at the point of contact. So it was new people into the control room. So if the victim says something's happened, we get it on straight away, decide what needs to happen, get that investigation moving, get that advice given. So it's just done. It came with some pain. I had to find 50 extra people, but we build on a strong foundation now because we know if a crime's reported in Hertfordshire, it'll get properly recorded, properly assessed, and hopefully properly actioned from there.
So, and the relationship with HMICFRS. So, HMIC, I'm going to just use the shortened version here. It's not quite unique, but there are not many countries that have something like HMIC. So they inspect, independent inspection. They give an independent report, and then the Police and Crime Commissioner will hold the Chief Constable, or potentially, I was going to say Commissioner, but actually there's no PCCs with Chief Constables. They will then hold the Chief Constable to account for developing and delivering a plan that makes improvements. The relationship that the force has with HMIC, for those outside the UK that may not be familiar with this, does HMIC come in, do their work, and then disappear, and you never see them until the next time that they're coming in to inspect? Or is there more of a relationship with the force?
No, it's absolutely the latter. There is more of a relationship. So HMIC FRS is a completely independent inspectorate of policing. That they inspect in the public interest. That's the mission statement of HMIC. So they are challenging, but they are designed to be challenging, and you know that's a good thing. That's a good thing that someone on behalf of the public can come in and say, Chief Constable Andy Profit, you need to do better with your team in this area in the interest of residents and businesses of Hertfordshire. But it isn't, we're going to come in, we're going to inspect you for 2 weeks, 3 months later publish a report and say you were great or you weren't so great. It's almost an ongoing process now. So every 2 years, Hertfordshire and every other force will get a formal assessment. It's called a PEEL assessment: productivity, efficiency, effectiveness and legitimacy. Of course, a play on Peelian principles, works quite nicely. But in producing that 2-year report, my next one, of course, due about September 26, 2 years after the previous one we've talked about, it's an ongoing process. There's a dedicated liaison officer from HMIC, more or less embedded in the force, and we're working at it all the time, this kind of continuous improvement. How are we doing in this? Let's try that. So no surprises, but we know what the inspection framework is because it's published. We know what the definitions of good are against that inspection framework because it's published. So, you know, it's a challenging framework, but my message to my organisation and my leaders, we know the questions, we know what a good answer looks like. It shouldn't be that tricky then, should it, to come up with some slightly better exam results, if I can cheekily call it that, than perhaps we got last time. And by the way, this is not just about passing a test. Our culture, our belief is that I've said, these are the right questions to be asked, and therefore it's a really good template to say, are we delivering the right service for the public of Hertfordshire? So it's a positive relationship as I see it.
Time is again running away with us in this second video, and I did say at the top of this video, that we'd talk about antisocial behaviour. You lead for the National Police Chiefs Council on that portfolio. I'm going to move that on to the third video because of the shortage now we have of time in this particular video. But before we leave this video, I just did want to, it would be remiss of me not to ask you how it's going. So 9 months in, with an inspection coming up in some 15 months' time, how's things going?
It's going well, thank you. We had 3 causes of concern around the crime recording, all of which have been closed, having been re-inspected. We now record the overwhelming majority of crime. We're in a better place. I think the leadership we've got in place now, that's not just about me, is fundamentally better. and some of the other areas around investigating crime and safeguarding and moving forward as well. Time will tell. I don't mark my own homework. I believe we're absolutely making good progress.
So work still to do, but content with progress so far. I hope that's not too misleading a summary. But for the time being, in this second video, Hertfordshire Constabulary's Chief Constable Andy Prophet. Very many thanks indeed. Just my usual reminder for those watching, go and subscribe, and of course you can also not just look at Policing TV, but our sister website, Policing Insight, where I'm sure you'll find as much for those interested in policing worldwide to go and learn from. So, Andy, thank you very much again.
Thank you.